Hello. Before we begin, I'd like to instruct you on the Prezi navigation before we begin the DPS training. Throughout the Prezi slides, you will find two arrows left and right at the bottom of the screen. You can use your mouse and arrow buttons on your keyboard to navigate your way through each screen. If you hover your mouse over the left or right arrow buttons, it will show which slide and number that you are currently on. There is an arrow button at the bottom left-hand corner of each screen that is described as a back arrow button, and this takes you back to the home page. So welcome to today's DPS Supplier Journey training. In the Supplier Journey, we will look at how suppliers can access the DPS Marketplace and become appointed to a DPS. We will cover the following areas: accessing DPS, completing the SQ, completing the DPS queue, and assessing and appointed statuses. Suppliers can find DPS opportunities on Contract Finder. Suppliers can search for opportunities through Contract Finder, and there is a specific link that takes a supplier to the DPS Marketplace to join a DPS. Once suppliers have clicked onto the vehicle conversions opportunity, for example, and they can select Apply for this notice. Apply for this notice launches a single integrated application journey for this opportunity. Within a few clicks, they'll be taken directly and straight into the DPS Marketplace. For suppliers to join a DPS, they must first access the Marketplace through the Supplier Registration homepage and click on the DPS link within the blue box as highlighted. This will bring them directly to the DPS Marketplace where they can select the relevant DPS. This listing on DPS Marketplace provides an overview of a specific DPS category and a list of services entailed. There is a row of useful links such as Bid Pack, where all the legal documents are embedded and suppliers can download all the documents. If suppliers have any questions about the DPS, there is a clarifications link that is managed by the category management team. And suppliers can ask a question confidentially, and the response will not be shared with all organisations registered on the DPS. So all of the clarifications will be published and available publicly on the Marketplace. Here is an example of a supplier asking if road sweeper services are included in the DPS, and the category manager has replied underneath with, yes, road sweepers are included along with the date and time. Anyone can view the suppliers appointed to a DPS simply by clicking on the View Suppliers link. Suppliers must click on the Access as a Supplier link to first gain access to the DPS. They are then required to accept the supplier terms and scroll to read all the content to enable the tick box and confirm they have read all the terms and conditions. In any instance where a supplier has previously accepted these, a message will appear at the bottom of the page highlighting when exactly they tick this specific box. If the supplier has already attempted to join the DPS and has answered questions, then it will highlight this too. And please note, a supplier can only enter the DPS once with their individual DUNS number. The supplier will then come and enter the SQ, and the first page sets expectations as to what information is required. There will be instances where a supplier has previously completed a selection questionnaire or created a draft SQ on their dashboard, and there is a link towards the bottom of the page to reuse existing answers. And by clicking on this, it gives the user the opportunity to reuse their answers from a previous selection questionnaire. So here we have selected one, and we can see an answer sheet with all the answers that were previously entered, and they can edit these answers by clicking on the Edit link within each section. There are mandatory self-declaration questions that the supplier must complete. Answering yes to any self-declarations doesn't necessarily mean that will not get appointed, but it does mean they will not get fast-tracked, and the category manager will assess any documents that the supplier has provided them with and make a judgment call on whether to appoint them. An example would be on question 106, where the supplier has confirmed they have been convicted of corruption in the past and would need to enter all the relevant information as requested. So after completing a series of questions, the supplier will get to the end of the SQ. A unique SQ reference number is generated to share with buyers, and in this case, it is automatically acknowledged that the supplier has been appointed to the DPS. Suppliers will be routed into the DPS queue after completing the SQ, and here there will be specific fleet questions. If, for example, the supplier does not meet the set criteria, the assessment will go into the assessing stage. A category manager must now assess the DPS queue and indicate whether they wish to appoint the supplier. This is the assessing stage, and here you can see the assessment is marked with an assessing label on the supplier's dashboard, and a category manager can select the DPS queue by clicking Assess and then indicate their decision. Please note that some DPS queues will purposely be set to send all supplier submissions into the assessing stage, regardless of acceptance criteria, to enable CCS to check the associated certificates and compliance. If the category manager has finished assessing the assessment, the supplier will be notified. And when a supplier has been assessed and appointed, they are then asked to confirm the DPS agreement. And here they can download all of the SQ and DPS queue answers together with a DPS agreement and privacy statement. If the supplier meets all specific DPS fleet criteria and completes the DPS queue, they will be flagged as appointed. Suppliers can view the status of their DPS queue by setting the questionnaire filter to the specific DPS queue and the status filter to any. So that was a journey of the supplier entering a DPS. Thank you.